What's going on, guys? Back with another video. Starting off the video a little weird today. We are putting this transmission into this 2001 Ram 1500. I was about to say 2500. I was about to say 2500 because so many people have said, hey, is that a 2500? Because it has this. That freaking dump underneath the truck. It's a stage 1 built transmission with a deep pan, new converter, firm shifts, full rebuild kit, whatever. This is the old one, all nasty, nice and pretty. So with the magic of editing, we should have this thing installed in 3, 2, 1. There we go. Transmission is installed. A few oil spills later and a few grease marks later, we finally got the transmission installed into the vehicle. It's nice and clean. Also, double check your work, so I'm making sure everything's good. Cool, let's let her down. I gotta go up first. Alright. There goes the dipstick. Alright, so the Ram just left, customer picked it up, he loved it. Sorry if there's wind noise right now, I'm trying to avoid that, but I'll walk in the shop. I got a new vehicle in. The truck that is receiving the LS3 is right behind me right here. It's a 2013 Silverado, 5.3 liter cammed out. Now here's the 6.2 for this truck. It is a brand new LS3 from Texas Speed. Well, from GM Performance, but it's sold through Texas Speed. It's like an $8,000 engine, produces like 450 horsepower. It already has a cam in it from GM, like a hot cam, but we're going to remove that cam and we're going to put a Texas Speed cam in it with a high pressure pump, billet timing chain, or not billet, but like this one. I actually have one over here. This one, I forgot the name of it. With this timing chain and the high pressure pump. So this is basically what's going to go on that engine, but this one's a 4.8 and that's a 6.2. And I'll update you guys on that engine here in a second. But here is the truck. Has amp steps in it. And I'll do a little startup for you guys so you guys can hear the cam. And we're also going to be rebuilding the 6-speed transmission. It's all stock underneath there. So it's going to be a really good build. I'm going to film the whole thing, the whole progress. It's going to basically get a whole new powertrain system. It's going to have a completely rebuilt transmission with a billet torque converter, so it's going to be pristine for this customer. And it's going to have way more power than what it has now. I think maybe right now it's probably like 350 wheel, 380 with that cam. But it's going to bump it up to close to 500 with the setup we're going to do. And here is the engine we're currently working on. It's a 4.8 out of the single cab. I'm putting a 216-220 cam in it with the timing chain set. It's getting basically a full top end rebuild and reseal. High pressure pump, obviously, there's the heads over there, and we're doing dual springs on this setup so the customer can rev it up higher, make more power with this 4.8. So next thing I'm going to do on this engine, I already got the pump on here. The bolts are just loose, they're not tight at all, they're just kind of on there because I still have to align the pump. Usually what I do is I turn the crank 4 times with the bolts snug, that way the pump can center itself, and then I'll torque it. And then once we get that torqued, I'm going to install the camshaft retainer plate, which I forgot to order. Crap, I don't have one. So here's the cam for this truck. I just took it out of the box. You can see here it says 216-220 on a 110 LSA, I believe. Yeah, 110 LSA. 216-220, 110 LSA, 600 lift. I'm gonna go ahead and get this cam lubed up, and insert it in the engine. There's two things I use when lubing up a cam. I use this zinc racing engine break-in additive. Just pour that on there. And I also use engine assembly lube. I use those too, and I mean, everyone has their own thing what they like to use. Some people like to use the comp stuff. Just be generous with it. Okay. This is the messy part. Oof. Now I should be wearing gloves, but right now the world has no gloves available, so we gotta work with what we got. Just want to be careful inserting the cam inside, not to damage the bearings. Just give it a few spins as you're installing it. Wiggle it around. Now once you get towards the end, you're going to need a screwdriver for leverage to put it in the very back cam. And that'll give you the extra leverage to put it all the way through the back. So now you lift it up and it slides right in. Perfect. Now you gotta go wash your hands. Cool. Now we need our freaking retainer plate, but I don't have it, so we'll have to wait till tomorrow to get that. But in the meantime, I can go ahead and put these lifters in with the new lifter trays. Get those torqued up and possibly get the heads on as well. So as you can see here, I have the lifters soaking. They've been soaking for a while now. You want to get them soaked up, that way you can get all the air out of them, because you don't want to run a lifter dry. Alright. Take one out, one lifter, insert. Alright, I got all of them inserted. I'm just gonna run all these bolts down. Not tighten them, just to where they bottom out. Oops. And then I like to use fastener assembly lubricant on every bolt I put on in an engine, because you just reduce the chances of you stripping something. I mean, like, not like valley cover bolt, but something like these, or like the cam sprocket, the 3 bolts for the cam sprocket, or the gear, whatever. The ones like the retainer plate, these oil pump bolts, and of course the head bolts, because those are critical. Okay, we got everything torqued up on the engine, the lifter trays, the oil pump, as well the that's it, actually, because I don't have a cam retainer plate, I forgot. Right now what I'm doing, I just finished installing all the dual springs on the heads with valve seals, retainers, dual springs. You can see here are the old ones, the little OEM mediocre springs. These are the ones you want. This is what I would recommend if you're going with a cam. Dual springs from Texas Speed. They are, I like these because they come designed with a valve seal, with the seal to accept the bigger spring. These valve seals and valve springs are what I recommend if you're gonna cam your truck. Doesn't matter if your truck requires a single spring from Comp or whatever single spring, or from Pack, I forgot the name of it. But you need to get dual springs, because when you're revving your truck up 6,000 to 7,000 RPM, you know, you can float a valve, especially if you're boosted. you need to have dual springs. You don't want your piston to hit the valve because the return is too slow. You know, basically what a spring does is it returns your valve up into the head. So imagine you have a weak spring, you know, I can compress this with my hand. And then this takes a whole lot more to compress. And you don't want to have catastrophic damage because you cheaped out on springs. And these aren't even that much more expensive than the dual springs, than the single springs, my bad. I think the single springs are worth like, hold on. So they're $300 for the dual springs and the single springs are $200. For $100 more, you can save your engine from blowing up. And I know a lot about that because I blow up engines. This is what I like to do, but never from a valve issue. Actually, no, I take that back. The second Denali I bought had a valve issue. Perfect example. I was doing donuts, banging it off the rev limiter, stock spring, stock push rod, stock everything. Just had to tune long tube batteries and intake. And I'm doing a burnout, and all of a sudden the truck just bogs down. I'm like, what the hell? So, nonetheless, I take the truck apart and I find a broken push rod, and actually, I have it. This is the push rod out of my Denali. You can see it's bent and it's broken, and you can see where it was riding on the because it was bent for a while. You can see right here that little wear right there. That's from the push rod riding. Of course, this is an LS, and what my truck had was an LT. The push rod was literally riding and grinding somewhere around the tray, and that's what caused that. So it was already bent to begin with, and then it snapped. And both my trucks have blown up because of this issue. My first Denali 6.2 dropped the valve in the cylinder, blew up. I have a picture right here, and it messed up the piston there, and it scored the cylinder wall. My second Denali, the push rod just broke. Luckily, there wasn't anything wrong with the engine, although I mean it replaced everything. But there was no like more damage. Like this was a lot less severe. So like my track record on blowing engines is getting better. So we'll see how the Raptor holds up. But anyways, yeah, put dual springs in your vehicles. Don't cheap out on single springs. If you're already spending the money to get a cam in your truck, in your car, get dual springs. You can rev it up higher, make more power. Go take people to Gapplebee's. It's all good. That's pretty much it. But before I let you guys go, I'm going to roll out a little cinematic I made for this 2013 truck we're doing a swap on. 6.2. It's going to be freaking awesome. Transmission, engine build, power, compression. Do it for Dale. You know, we're doing it out here. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. If you liked the video, tell me what you didn't like. Tell me that I need to, I don't know. Tell me that I need to fucking fix my truck. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.